Ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying my videos, please click the like button. It is the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me. I would be very grateful to you. The Watchful Widow, Unseeing Eye. Scary story, published by Scare Fiction. Read for you by Scray Fiction. Chapter 1. An Allure of Isolation. The rhythmic clatter of the garbage truck outside Amelia's window did little to drown out the incessant pounding in her head. Another night, battling writer's block. Another day staring at the blank page, mocking her from her cluttered desk. The fluorescent lights of her cramped studio apartment buzzed relentlessly, amplifying the feeling of creative suffocation. Amelia longed for escape, for a space that resonated with inspiration, not the stale air of missed deadlines and takeout boxes. She craved the quietude of nature, a place where the whispers of her imagination wouldn't be lost in the city's relentless symphony of honking horns and sirens. One bleary-eyed morning, fueled by a desperation for change, Amelia stumbled upon a peculiar online listing. It featured a faded photograph of a sprawling Victorian mansion perched atop a windswept hill. Its grandeur was undeniable, even through the layers of peeling paint and overgrown ivy that adorned its facade. The listing described it as Thorn Mansion, a writer's retreat, boasting vast, sunlit rooms and breathtaking views. The price was suspiciously low, a fact the listing attributed to motivated sellers. A shiver of unease danced down Amelia's spine. It seemed too perfect, too good to be true. Yet, a seed of hope had been planted. She spent the next few hours scouring the internet, searching for any mention of Thorn Mansion. The results were scarce: a few blurry photographs on a local history website, a cryptic message board thread filled with unconfirmed rumors. Supposedly, the mansion held a dark history, a story whispered in hushed tones amongst the townsfolk like a forgotten melody. Later that day, Amelia found herself standing across a rickety wooden bridge, the wind whipping her hair as she gazed upon Thorn Mansion in person. It was even more imposing in reality, its silhouette stark against the twilight sky. The windows, like vacant eyes, seemed to stare back at her, their emptiness holding a hint of something else. A gnarled oak tree, its branches contorted like skeletal fingers, stood sentinel beside the mansion's entrance. A flock of crows cawed ominously as they took flight, their harsh cries echoing in the sudden stillness. Doubts gnawed at Amelia's resolve. But then she looked back at the smoke-choked skyline of the city in the distance, a symbol of everything she craved to escape. Taking a deep breath, she marched towards the imposing oak doors. A chill snaked its way up her spine, not entirely from the wind. A flicker of movement at the edge of her vision, a woman in black, shrouded in a veil, vanished as quickly as it appeared. Amelia hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. But the allure of a fresh start, a chance to finally find her voice, proved stronger than her fear. She raised her hand, her knuckles white, as she grasped the cold brass doorknob. The rusty hinges groaned as the door creaked open, revealing the yawning darkness within. A wave of musty air, tinged with a faint scent of decay, washed over her. Taking another deep breath, Amelia stepped over the threshold, leaving the clamor of the city behind and entering the unsettling embrace of Thorn Mansion. Chapter 2. Unveiling the Past. The mansion swallowed Amelia whole. The heavy oak door slammed shut behind her with a resounding thud, sending a jolt of nervous energy through her. A sliver of afternoon sun peeked through a grime-coated window, casting an uneven spotlight on a scene of dust motes dancing in a forgotten waltz. Cobwebs, thick and gray as a shroud, draped from the high ceilings, each silken strand a testament to the years the house had stood desolate. The air hung heavy with the smell of decay, a musty blend of damp earth, forgotten furniture polish, and something deeper, more unsettling, like the faint echo of a long dead scream. Amelia suppressed a shiver, her writer's imagination already conjuring chilling scenarios. Lugging her meager belongings further into the cavernous entrance hall, she found herself dwarfed by the mansion's sheer scale. A grand staircase, its mahogany banister polished to a dull gleam, swept upwards, disappearing into the gloom. A myriad of doorways branched off in different directions, each leading to an unknown room, each a potential chapter waiting to be written. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the rhythmic creak of the floorboards underfoot. Amelia felt an undeniable weight pressing down on her, a sense of something unseen, lurking just beyond the periphery of her vision. Unpacking became less about settling in and more about a desperate need to dispel the oppressive atmosphere. With each box emptied, a small part of her felt lighter, a tiny victory against the overwhelming vastness of the mansion. As she unpacked her writing supplies in what would be her study, she caught a fleeting glimpse of movement at the edge of the overgrown property through the dusty window. It was the veiled woman, a shadowy figure standing motionless against the backdrop of skeletal trees. Her form seemed to shimmer at the edges, almost like a wisp of smoke, and a single tear, as black as night, traced a path down the fabric, obscuring her face. Amelia froze, breath catching in her throat. The woman vanished as quickly as she appeared, leaving behind a prickling sensation on Amelia's skin and a knot of unease twisting in her gut. Ignoring the unsettling encounter, Amelia decided to delve into the mansion's history. She found a dusty bookshelf tucked away in a corner of the library, its shelves groaning under the weight of leather-bound volumes. Hours melted away as she sifted through dusty tomes filled with local history, her search finally yielding fruit. A yellowed newspaper clipping, brittle with age, revealed a story of a young couple, Edward and Beatrice Thorne, who once graced the halls of this very mansion. The article detailed Edward's tragic death, deemed an accident by the authorities. Amelia scoured the rest of the library, her curiosity piqued. Tucked away in a hidden alcove, she stumbled upon a dusty trunk, its padlock rusted shut. A thrill of excitement shot through her, a potential treasure trove of secrets locked away for years. With trembling hands, she managed to break the lock, revealing a trove of old photographs and newspaper clippings. The fading images depicted a young, vibrant couple, a stark contrast to the chilling whispers about their demise. A sense of foreboding washed over Amelia. The discovery of the veiled woman and the unsettling aura of the mansion led her to suspect Edward's death may not have been as accidental as reported. As dusk began to settle, casting long, ominous shadows across the library floor, Amelia closed the trunk, the weight of the mansion's history settling heavily on her. An unsettling sense of being watched lingered, the ghost of the veiled woman replaying in her mind's eye. But instead of fear, a spark of morbid curiosity ignited within her. The mystery of Thorne Mansion, the secrets it held within its decaying walls, had become the inspiration she desperately craved. Chapter 3, Whispers in the Dark. Sleep eluded Amelia that night. The mansion creaked and groaned with an unsettling rhythm, a symphony of settling wood and unseen movement. Every rustle of leaves against the window pane, every groan of the ancient pipes sent shivers down her spine. Around 3 in the morning, a particularly loud crash from the floor above made her jolt upright in bed. Heart pounding, she grabbed a flashlight and ventured out, the silence suddenly thick and oppressive. Reaching the top of the stairs, she found a bookshelf toppled over, its contents scattered across the dusty floor. Amelia's breath hitched. It couldn't have fallen on its own. Days turned into weeks, and the strange occurrences escalated. Shadows flickered at the edges of her vision, only to vanish when she turned to look. Objects she meticulously placed would mysteriously vanish, only to reappear in unsettling locations. The whispers, faint at first, began to fill the dead of night, disembodied voices, murmuring unintelligible words, echoing through the empty halls. The veiled woman became a constant presence. Amelia would catch glimpses of her shadowy form standing at the far end of a corridor, or hovering at the edge of the overgrown property, always silent, always watching. Her initial fear had morphed into a chilling sense of dread. Driven by a desperate need for answers, Amelia ventured into the small town nestled at the foot of the hill. There, she found the dusty haven of the local library, its air thick with the comforting smell of aged paper. A stern-looking woman with a mane of silver hair and spectacles perched on her nose sat behind the counter. She was Mrs. Hawthorne, the town historian, her gaze as sharp as a hawk's. Amelia hesitantly explained the strange occurrences at the mansion, the veiled woman, and the lingering whispers. A flicker of recognition crossed Mrs. Hawthorne's face, followed by a deep sigh. "Thorn Mansion," she rasped, her voice a dry whisper. "A place steeped in sorrow. You shouldn't have gone there, child." Over steaming cups of tea, Mrs. Hawthorne regaled Amelia with the tragic story of Beatrice Thorne, a young woman left alone after the sudden death of her husband, Edward. Rumors swirled around Beatrice after the tragedy, whispers of grief descending into madness, a descent that culminated in her own demise within the very walls of the mansion. Amelia felt a surge of sympathy for the lonely figure ostracized by the town. However, the chilling details of Edward's death, deemed an accident by the authorities, piqued her curiosity. "There were rumors," Mrs. Hawthorne continued, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial hush. "Rumors that Edward's death wasn't an accident at all. But those who knew the truth took it to their graves." Amelia's heart pounded. The truth about Edward's death, the veiled woman's relentless presence, the escalating hauntings, it was all starting to feel connected. A morbid fascination, mixed with a gnawing fear, warred within her. Leaving the library, Amelia looked back at the imposing silhouette of Thorne Mansion perched on the hilltop. It no longer seemed like a haven for inspiration, but a looming threat, a place where the past clung to the present with chilling tenacity. But Amelia, fueled by a desire for answers and a burgeoning sense of responsibility towards the tragic story she was uncovering, knew she couldn't turn back now. The whispers had revealed a horrifying secret, and she was determined to bring it to light, even if it meant confronting the darkness that lurked within the walls of Thorne Mansion. Chapter 4: A Descent in Madness. Days bled into each other, a monotonous cycle punctuated only by the escalating strangeness within the mansion. The whispers grew bolder, weaving fragmented sentences into Amelia's dreams, their chilling echoes lingering long after waking. The veiled woman appeared closer now, her form shimmering at the edges, the fabric billowing as if caught in an unseen wind. A sliver of pale skin peeked through the veil. Sleep became a luxury Amelia could no longer afford. Exhaustion gnawed at her, her reflection in the dusty mirror, a gaunt parody of the hopeful writer who had first arrived at Thorne Mansion. Yet, a strange energy pulsed within her, fueled by a morbid fascination with the tragedy unfolding around her. The mansion itself seemed to be feeding this morbid curiosity. The words that flowed from her pen now had a life of their own, darker, more macabre than anything she'd ever written. The characters, fueled by the whispers and the unsettling presence of the veiled woman, became chilling reflections of the secrets buried within the mansion's walls. One day, Amelia stumbled upon a hidden compartment within a dusty wardrobe. Inside, nestled amongst moth-eaten clothes, lay a leather-bound diary. Its yellowed pages, filled with Beatrice Thorne's spidery handwriting, unfolded a tale of a love turned sour, of jealousy and resentment festering like a poisonous vine. The diary entries ended abruptly, the final page stained with a single faded tear. As Amelia devoured Beatrice's story, the lines between reality and fiction began to blur. The characters in her own writing mirrored Beatrice's descent into madness, their voices echoing the whispers that filled the mansion's halls. Was she channeling Beatrice's rage? Or was the mansion manipulating her, weaving its own tale through her pen? The answer terrified her. The very act of writing seemed to fuel the hauntings. The veiled woman appeared closer still, her presence a suffocating weight in the room. The whispers intensified, forming accusations, urging Amelia to delve deeper, to uncover the truth and unleash their vengeance. A horrifying realization dawned on Amelia. She was becoming a pawn in a game she didn't understand, a conduit for the vengeful spirits trapped within the mansion. The darkness she was trying to expose was seeping into her, threatening to consume her whole. Fear clawed at her, but a flicker of defiance sparked within her. She wouldn't let the mansion win. She would find the truth, not for the spirits, but for herself. But somewhere deep down, a morbid curiosity lingered, a chilling fascination with the story she was both uncovering and creating. Chapter 5: Unveiling the Truth. Driven by a desperate need for answers, Amelia spent days poring over the newspaper clippings and photographs from the hidden trunk. She scrutinized every detail, searching for a hidden message, a clue that would unlock the truth about Edward Thorne's death. A faint smudge on one of the photographs, barely noticeable at first glance, caught her eye. With trembling hands, she adjusted the lamp, her heart pounding as she realized the smudge formed a cryptic symbol. Memories of Mrs. Hawthorne mentioning local folklore about symbols used in forgotten rituals flickered at the edge of her mind. Days turned into a blur of frantic research, Amelia scouring dusty libraries and online archives. Finally, a faded illustration in a forgotten history book mirrored the symbol on the photograph. It was a sigil, an ancient symbol used to bind spirits. A cold dread settled in Amelia's stomach. The mansion wasn't haunted by one vengeful spirit, but two. Fueled by a newfound sense of urgency, Amelia re-examined Beatrice's diary entries. The words on the yellowed pages morphed from a tale of grief to a chilling confession. Beatrice, consumed by jealousy and rage, admitted to pushing Edward down the stairs in a fit of anger. The accident was a carefully constructed facade, but the diary entries ended abruptly, leaving a gaping hole in the narrative. What happened after Beatrice's confession? A chilling thought wormed its way into Amelia's mind. Edward, murdered by his wife, couldn't find peace. His spirit, bound to the mansion by the very symbol he saw used against him, remained trapped, filled with a burning resentment towards Beatrice. The veiled woman, once a singular figure of terror, began to shift and flicker. Two distinct forms emerged, one cloaked in sorrow, a hint of Beatrice's pale face visible beneath the veil. The other, shrouded in a darker fabric, pulsed with an angry energy. Amelia's breath hitched as she realized it was Edward, his spectral form a chilling reflection of the rage that consumed him in life. The whispers reached a crescendo, a cacophony of accusations and pronouncements of vengeance. Beatrice, filled with remorse, pleaded for forgiveness, while Edward's voice, a chilling rasp, demanded retribution. Amelia, caught in the maelstrom of their rage, felt the mansion itself tremble with the force of their emotions. The truth lay bare. Thorne Mansion wasn't haunted by a single vengeful spirit, but a twisted couple locked in an eternal dance of resentment and regret. Amelia, no longer just an observer, had become a catalyst, her presence stirring the embers of a long-dead fire. The house, a vessel for their unresolved emotions, threatened to consume them all. Chapter 6. Cycle of Torment. The revelation that the mansion housed not one, but two vengeful spirits shattered the last vestiges of Amelia's hope for a peaceful research haven. The air crackled with a tangible hostility, a chilling symphony of slamming doors, flickering lights, and objects flying inexplicably across the room. The veiled figures, now distinct entities, moved with renewed purpose, their sorrow and rage morphing into a terrifying determination. Beatrice, cloaked in a tattered white veil, her spectral form radiating a pale, mournful light, drifted through the room, her voice a heartbroken whisper. "He took everything from me," she wailed, the echo of her pain bouncing off the dusty walls. Across from her, Edward, shrouded in a veil of inky black, exuded a chilling rage. His spectral form shimmered with a malevolent energy, his voice a guttural growl. "Betrayal," he rasped, the word dripping with venom. "She took my life, my future." Amelia stood amidst the chaos, fear threatening to paralyze her. But a spark of defiance ignited within her. She wouldn't become another victim in their cycle of torment. "Stop!" she yelled, her voice surprisingly strong in the cacophony. The veiled figures turned towards her, their spectral eyes filled with a chilling intensity. Taking a deep breath, Amelia pushed forward. "You're both trapped in this cycle of hate," she said, her voice calmer now, laced with a newfound empathy. "Beatrice, you regret your actions. Edward, your anger cannot bring you peace." A flicker of surprise, a chink in their armor, appeared on their spectral faces. "There's another way," Amelia continued, her voice rising with conviction. "Forgive each other, not for me, but for yourselves. Find peace and release each other from this prison." Beatrice's form wavered, the sorrow in her eyes deepening. Edward's form flickered, a flicker of doubt replacing the rage. Amelia pressed on, weaving a narrative of redemption, of a future where their souls could finally find solace. She spoke of the love they once shared, of the life cut tragically short. The mansion itself seemed to hold its breath, the oppressive atmosphere cracking under the weight of her words. The whispers, once a cacophony of accusations, morphed into mournful sighs, hints of acceptance weaving through the air. Slowly, tentatively, Beatrice reached out to Edward, her spectral form shimmering with a faint, hopeful light. Edward hesitated, then, in a gesture almost imperceptible, mirrored her reach. As their spectral forms touched, a blinding light engulfed the room. The whispers faded, replaced by an eerie silence. When the light subsided, the veiled figures were gone, a sense of peace settling like dust motes after a storm. Amelia stood alone, the weight of the encounter heavy yet strangely liberating. The mansion felt different, the oppressive energy dissipated. A faint scent of roses, a memory of a love story, once vibrant, lingered in the air. Had she truly broken the cycle of torment? A sliver of doubt remained, but it was overshadowed by a sense of cautious optimism. Perhaps, just perhaps, Amelia had helped find a sliver of peace for the souls trapped within Thorn Mansion. Chapter 7. Echoes of the Past. The silence in Thorn Mansion was profound. No longer did the weight of unseen eyes press down on Amelia. The air felt lighter, cleaner, as if the dust of the past had settled and the oppressive atmosphere had finally lifted. Yet, an unsettling emptiness lingered in the wake of the vanished spirits. Amelia wandered through the mansion, a strange sense of detachment accompanying her newfound peace. The rooms, once brimming with spectral tension, now felt curiously empty. She stopped at the top of the grand staircase, her gaze drawn to the toppled bookshelf. It remained untouched, a stark reminder of the chaotic days just past. A shiver ran down her spine, a phantom echo of the fear that had gripped her. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the open window, sending a tremor through the old house. Papers scattered across the floor, catching Amelia's eye. One, half hidden beneath a fallen book, bore an ornate crest, the same symbol she'd recognized in the photograph. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Had she been wrong? Was there more to the story? With renewed determination, Amelia gathered the scattered papers. They were old legal documents, brittle with age and yellowed with time. Squinting through the faded ink, she deciphered a will Edward Thorne bequeathing the entirety of his estate to his wife, Beatrice. A pang of guilt stabbed at her. Beatrice, consumed by grief and guilt, had confessed to a crime she hadn't committed. Another document, a hidden codicil to the will, revealed a shocking truth. Edward, anticipating a potential accident, had added a clause stating that if he died within a year of the signing, and Beatrice was the sole beneficiary, the inheritance would be revoked. The estate would then pass to a distant relative. A cold dread filled Amelia. The accident wasn't an accident at all. Edward had suspected his wife's intentions. But why hadn't this come to light during the investigation? Amelia scanned the remaining papers, a chilling realization dawning on her. The final document was a signed statement from the very same relative who stood to inherit the estate if Beatrice was deemed responsible for Edward's death. The statement declared his unwavering belief in Beatrice's innocence. Yet, the document remained unsigned by the authorities. A wave of nausea washed over Amelia. Truth was buried, not by ghosts, but by greed and a conspiracy of silence. Beatrice, ostracized and alone, had been painted a villain, protecting a truth no one wanted to hear. Chapter 8: A Legacy Unveiled. Amelia left Thorne Mansion a changed woman. The weight of the story she'd uncovered pressed heavily on her. The ghosts may be gone, but their tragic tale echoed in the empty halls. She knew she couldn't let their story be buried once more. Returning to the bustling city, Amelia no longer craved the tranquility of a secluded mansion. The city's cacophony now felt like a heartbeat, a reminder of the life that pulsed beyond the walls of Thorne Mansion. Driven by a newfound purpose, Amelia poured her experiences into her writing. The characters, once fueled by whispers and spectral rage, transformed into Beatrice and Edward. Their story, no longer a chilling horror, became a heartbreaking exploration of love, betrayal, and the devastating consequences of secrets. As Amelia's book gained traction, the truth about Thorne Mansion and its tragic past came to light. The authorities reopened the case, the hidden documents unearthed. Beatrice's name was finally cleared, the truth finding a voice long silenced. Thorne Mansion remained, a silent sentinel on the windswept hill. But now, it wasn't a place of fear, but a poignant reminder of a love story gone wrong. Amelia, no longer a writer seeking inspiration, became an unlikely custodian of the past, ensuring that the whispers of Thorne Mansion would never be forgotten.